welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Abby. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, then welcome back. I originally tried filming this video before and I got all the footage, and then my editing software or something happened and I could not find any of the footage. Yay! So I am refilming this video. Let's hope it actually works this time, or I'm actually gonna go like insane and have more of a crash out. Welcome to my 2025 books in review. I know that 2025 is already a long time ago, but I don't really care because we are filming this now and that's okay. So let's get into it for my 2025 books in review. Okay, so I read 14 books in 2025. My goal was 15, but I was so close and I just couldn't make it. So my goal is 15 this year. I will get there. Trust, I will get there. But anyway, so I read 14 books. Some were romance, some were dystopian, some were a murder mystery. So we have a whole bunch of different genres on what I read. First, I want to start off by saying how I rate my books. Usually DNF a book if it's 1 or 2 stars. Nothing really falls in that category. Everything usually falls between 3 to 5 stars. So for me, a 3-star book is like, it was good, I liked it, I finished it, but it was nothing to write home about. A 4-star means I absolutely loved it. I would definitely recommend. There was just like something that wasn't like that 5-star quality, but a 4-star is really good for me. And then 5-star, it's one of the best books I've read. I will always recommend. I will never stop thinking about it. So we have a lot of that range in this review. Usually when I read a book, I give it about 100 pages or so, and then I decide whether I want to continue it or not. And so all of these are the ones that I finished. Also, I'm gonna try to be as spoiler-free as possible, just because if I were watching a book review, I wouldn't want any spoilers. So I'm gonna try to be as spoiler-free as possible, but if I do spoil, there will be like a spoiler warning. Enough of rambling, let's get on into actually my review. The first book I read was War Storm by Victoria Aveyard. Loved that series because in 2024, I started the Red Queen series, but in January 2025 is when I actually finished War Storm, and oh my gosh, I absolutely loved it. I gave it a 5 stars. I just absolutely love Victoria's writing style, and she knows how to write complex characters who have storylines are like finished throughout the book. They have internal conflict. They're just not like flat characters. They make sense. They're all there for a reason. And so I thought War Storm was a very nice way to round out the Red Queen series. I said I loved how much tension and pining there was in this series, especially between Mare and Cal. If you know, you know. I was just hoping for any sort of like interaction between the characters again. And when we got even a glance at each other, like that was the best thing. She knows how to write a build-up, especially with all the betrayals and twists and everything that's happened in this series. I'm glad that characters were mad at each other and they had feelings and they didn't just like dismiss that right away to like get together. They actually had to solve their problems in order to figure out how to like coexist with each other. I also said that I loved in this book how we got more point of views, because in the first few books it was mostly, I think, Mare and maybe like 1 or 2 other point of views, but we finally got the point of views of the brothers. I love getting in the mind of another character and explaining like why they do the actions that they're doing and their thought process. I love the ending. Minor spoiler warning. An ending when you don't think it's gonna go the way that you think it is. The whole series, you want these specific characters to get together, but I like that in the end of this book, they have to figure out how to rewire the world, refix the world with all the politics and all of the world building and the mess that is going on in this series. So I like that the characters didn't immediately get back together or get together until things were solved, because they had a lot to figure out, especially because kind of the world fell apart after all the events. And so I like that I had to figure out also who they were as separate people before coming back together. I just said it was like the final book in the series and it definitely did not disappoint. I thought it was a great way to wrap up the world of Red Queen, and dystopian is one of my favorite genres like of all time, and so I really enjoyed this book and I definitely recommend. And also, Victoria, she kind of now knows of my existence because of this book, because I like posted a TikTok and she like reposted about it because it was about Red Queen, and so love you, Victoria. And yeah, that's my review on Warstorm. And the next book I read was, wait, what's the title? Broken Throne, which is the novella still set in the Red Queen universe, which I was so glad to read because I love getting like background stories, kind of like prequel stories, but also like stories of what happens to the characters after the main events of the book. And so I originally rated this a 4 stars, but I think looking back, I would give it a 3 stars just because usually novellas for me, they don't hit as hard just because it's not like the main series. So I would say now I would give it a 3 stars. I just like getting more stories in the Red Queen universe, figuring out what happened after the main events of Warstorm, figuring out what the characters, how Mare and Cal are doing, which thank goodness, I'm so glad of their story. Just getting like more perspectives and point of views about the politics, because this universe is a very political heavy world as well as being a dystopian world. I love world building and politics in a world, and the romance is a subplot, and so I think that the entire Red Queen universe does that really well. I love the ending and everything was explained, and now I'm kind of sad that like I'm officially done with the Red Queen universe, but I think overall the book series is, I highly recommend. And if you like romance, if you like but more dystopian and political and a lot of world building, then I highly recommend Red Queen. Oh gosh. Okay. The next book I read was Sunrise on the Reaping. Guys, this was the most insane book I think I've ever read, like of all time. Hands down, 5 out of 5 stars. All the reviews and ratings that I do in this video, this is the one that matters most. This is the most deserving 5 out of 5 star book I have ever read. Like I said, I am a sucker for dystopian, and Hunger Games is not just the best dystopian like book written of all time, but one of my favorite book series of all time. This was an immediate 5 out of 5. Even before I read it, I knew it was going to be a 5 out of 5. Suzanne Collins definitely proved that point. I thought I knew what I was getting into because reading the original series, you know what happens to Haymitch. Survives the games. You know that because he's the mentor of Katniss and Peeta. Actually reading the events that he goes through, oh my god, actually shocking. And the trailer just came out and the movie's coming out and I'm genuinely terrified for it. People are gonna have to drag me out. I'm gonna be a sobbing mess. I'm gonna bring so many tissues. Just said this broke me, this made me sob, this made me a mess. Suzanne Collins, your mind is absolutely brilliant. I would love to have a piece of your mind and your process in writing books. She knows fiction. She knows literature. She knows how to write. Every chapter was devastating. Like again, I thought I knew it was gonna happen and I was completely blown away. For the second quarter quell, the 50th games. The fact that any sort of Hunger Games is devastating, and those have 24 tributes. But the fact that the 50th Hunger Games, the second quarter quell, Haymitch had to go against 47 other tributes. Oh my god. And like I feel so bad for Haymitch. We learn about what happened to his family. We learn about what happened to his girlfriend. We learn about the friends he made in the games. It's not really a spoiler because we know he wins. Like how they die. Like it's insane. And the fact that at the beginning of the book, the first line is "Happy birthday, Haymitch," and his birthday is on the reaping day. Oh my god. And the fact that also he said he wasn't a drinker, and in the original series, like he's a drunk. Like no shit. No shit, he's a drunk. Honestly, he's not drinking enough. He needs to drink more. The trauma that Suzanne Collins put these characters through, and yet you care so much about them, is actually insane. This is like the most 5-star book I've ever read. Highly, 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 I will never stop recommending The Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and Sunrise on the Reaping. The entire universe of The Hunger Games is absolutely incredible. Highly recommend. If anything out of all of these books, this is the one that you should read, especially because of what's going on in our country right now and our universe and all the political statements. It's so scarily relevant. Very scarily relevant with everything that is going on. Highly recommend Sunrise on the Reaping. This broke me. Oh my god, I love you, Suzanne. And then we are getting more into the summertime of 2025. I completely went the opposite direction of genres. So I started the year with dystopian, and for the summer, I read basically all romance books with a few like historical fictions and everything, so I'll get into that. Starting off, I read the rest of Emily Henry's books in the summer. I absolutely adore her. She is one of my new favorite authors and new favorite romance authors. So I already read People We Meet on Vacation a few years before I read the rest of her books, so that's not a part of this, but everything else is. Next book in her universe was Happy Place. To be honest, I did not like it. Or let me rephrase. I didn't love it as much as I thought I would. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, which is kind of wild for me, especially because it's a romance book. But as I'm like looking back on my reviews, I'm realizing I prefer more of a romance subplot than a actual romance book. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was not my favorite. I realized I don't love the second chance romance book. In my opinion, if you guys break up, you break up for a reason. There's a reason why you're not together anymore. Yeah, it could work to get back together if you grow and you change. But like the odds of you actually changing that much to be in a relationship that lasts like the rest of your life after like mistakes are made, and I don't know, I don't love the second chance romance trope. I think it's one of my least favorite besides miscommunication and random pregnancy trope. I don't love second chance. It's good to learn about what I like and what I don't like. It was a lot more sad than I thought it was gonna be, more heartbreaking because each of the characters had background stories. I don't know. I said like Happy Place my ass. Main character, she's hiding the secret that her and her, well now, ex-fiance broke up, but she didn't tell her friends that. She was keeping that a secret. I feel like if you're best friends with someone, and I know it's for the plot, I know that's the whole point of the plot, but if you're best friends with someone, why wouldn't you tell them your secret, how you're feeling? You and your relationship aren't doing well. I don't get it. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Like if you're incredibly close with someone, you would tell them like anything almost immediately. I was just like complaining. I was like, if it is gonna be a second chance romance, just like be with him already, okay? Talk through your problems. Please, I hate miscommunication. Stop people pleasing for the love of everything. Yeah, I don't know. Clearly I didn't love this book because I have a lot of things to say about it. This was definitely my least favorite Emily Henry book. That's the point of reading. You're not gonna like everything from every author. And honestly, like I kind of predicted the ending because it is a second chance. I think you can like kind of assume without me spoiling it and saying it directly what happens. This was my least favorite, and that's okay. I'm not gonna love everything from every single author that I read. But yeah, so this was my review on Happy Place. In other news, the second book that I read from Emily Henry in last summer was Beach Read. Now, I absolutely loved Beach Read. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. This one was a lot better, or at least I liked it a lot more, in my opinion, than Happy Place. I just thought the characters in this were very human, if that makes sense. It didn't really feel like I was reading just words on a page. It felt like I was actually like visualizing and actually seeing the characters. She wrote them in a way that made them realistic and messy, which I absolutely love because it made it more relatable instead of just like the romance book being like they fall in love like right away. Like no, each character had problems and they had to work through them together and they had to talk them out, and I genuinely love a book like that, where the characters, like, they feel human. And so this one did that really well. I love the plot because the main character, January, which to be honest, I did laugh when I first read that her name was January. I love the plot because they're both authors, and the way they meet, they kind of are like enemies at first because they're living next door to each other. They kind of make a bet for each other to write each other's genre of books. which I think that's such a cool concept. I love that we slowly figured out what was going on with January's father and how it affected her, and also the backstory of Gus, the whole reason why he became a writer and everything. This definitely had me giggling and kicking my feet. I didn't want to put this down. I don't know, I love the characters January and Gus. And also, I think in every Emily Henry book, there is a little bit of spice, so if that's what you're into, definitely look into that. If not, I would maybe stay away. I like that Emily Henry, she writes the spicy scenes, but they're intentional. It's not like they're out of the blue. It like makes sense within the storyline. It makes sense for how vulnerable the characters feel. It's not like out of the blue. I really like the ending. I really liked that the characters, they were working on their struggles together, instead of like a ending. Because an ending can be, even though it's happy, the word ending can seem sad in a way. They're kind of having like a happy for now. They're taking each day by day and working on themselves and their relationship. I really loved Beach Read. Yeah, there's my review for that. The next book from her was Book Lovers. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really cute. I love a good countryside, small town romance, and that's what exactly this was. I believe in almost all of her books, the characters are within the publishing or literary or author world, and she knows how to write that because she's an author herself. And so I liked at the beginning, they kind of became enemies, and then in the small town, they kind of met, fell for each other. Again, like, I love seeing that her characters are messy, they have problems. The main character, Nora, she was trying to take care of her sister who was pregnant, wanting to do everything for her. And then I liked by kind of the end of the book, minor spoilers, that she kind of did what she wanted for herself and not because of her sister or like what expectations were placed on her. So I really like that Emily Henry writes characters that choose themselves, as well as also taking care of other people and being loyal and passionate about who they're taking care of. I really like the ending. Oh my god, the bookstore scene with Charlie. Oh, that was so cute. That was actually adorable. This one was a really good one. One of my favorite ones from her was Funny Story. Oh my gosh, I was actually obsessed with this one. I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The plot is so unique because the two main characters, Daphne and Miles, they were engaged. The people who they were engaged to broke it off. The fiancés, they got together, and then Daphne and Miles, they were stuck in a situation that's actually kind of funny because they became roommates. It's such an unfortunate situation that it honestly is funny. I love that they kind of started out as strangers, not really enemies, but kind of just coexisting as roommates together. They started fake dating to kind of get back at their fiancés. I love a good fake dating trope. That is also one of my favorite tropes in books, is a good fake dating trope. Learning about Daphne's backstory with her, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure like her parents or her father he's not really like there. She's kind of dealing with the trauma of that. And I love how Daphne and Miles, they kind of work through that together and talking it out and communicating and then slowly falling for each other. Again, these are all romance books, so it's not really spoilers. Apologies if you think this is a spoiler. Kind of like in Book Lovers, I like that Daphne, she did what she wanted to do for herself by the end, because she had these high expectations placed on her from her family. But I like that she decided to do what she wanted to do and not because of any expectations that were placed on her. I love when characters, like, they actually choose themselves first, because that's what matters. Like, you're only in this life once. You have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anyone else. I know it's like the cliche line, but it's so true. In all of her universe, she tends to write references in each book to the other books in her universe. So she had like references to Beach Read in this, and probably also Book Lovers and Happy Place, but I definitely like remember the one from Beach Read. And so I love like getting little references from each book within each other. Wow. I'm yapping a lot. Like, I think I love one of her couples the most, and then I read another one, and then I'm like, they're my favorite. Like, It's so hard to choose who my favorite couple of her universe is because they're all so good. They're all so well written, they're all so messy and human, and just love a good love story. And so I really liked Funny Story. And the last and final Emily Henry book that I read was A Great Big Beautiful Life. Oh my gosh, I loved this one. This was a immediate 5 out of 5 stars because this book was more of a historical fiction with a romance subplot. Like I said earlier, that is what I love. I honestly prefer kind of a romance subplot book. And so this one, the two characters, they were fighting for a chance to write the story of this actress who kind of disappeared. Then they slowly like fall for each other, but also kind of being enemies because they have to fight for the chance to actually write the novel. It kind of reminded me of Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which that is a 5 out of 5 star book for me. I absolutely love that one. Just reading the backstory of Margaret, the character who was the actress, her family and her backstory is so sad, which made her, again, more human and more realistic, just like her other books. Yeah, I was just like rooting for the main characters to get together. This one definitely, I think, is a little more spicy than her other books, which, again, intentional, which I love. I don't know, I was just like addicted to this book and I didn't want to put it down. I think it was my favorite Emily Henry book of all time. And I mean, because of that, I also got a tote bag that has A Great Big Beautiful Life on it. And like it's stunning, it's so pretty. I just love this book. If you couldn't tell, I mean, I literally got merch for it. Highly recommend this one if you love romance, but also mostly kind of historical fiction, because it goes back in time telling the backstory, but also to the present. And there's still twists and betrayals. It's not just a romance book. I highly recommend A Great Big Beautiful Life. So I know I just mentioned Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. The next two books that I read were from the same author of Seven Husbands, which is Taylor Jenkins Reid. And so the next book after I read Great Big Beautiful Life was Malibu Rising. Oh my gosh, I also gave that a 5 out of 5 stars. You can tell I'm pretty generous with my ratings, but I absolutely love this one. In Seven Husbands, one of Evelyn's husbands, his name is Riva. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but he's a douchebag. He sucks. And he is the father of the main characters in Malibu Rising. There's 4 kids, and this takes place in the 1980s. But what's so cool about this book is it takes place in 24 hours. The characters have an entire arc within a day, which I think is the coolest thing ever. It's another kind of historical fiction with some romance in it, but that's not like the main focus. It takes place, yeah, like in the 80s, but it goes also back to the 1950s, how the story of Mick's wife, June, and her life raising the kid while Mick was doing whatever the hell he was doing, aka not being a present father. When I Catch You, Mick Riva, like, oh my god, I hate him. And yet, Taylor Jenkins Reid, she also writes characters, even though you know they're bad people, she writes their storylines in a way that you still empathize with them. And she does that with Mick, which is crazy because he's not a good person. And yet I still felt bad for him sometimes. I really liked that it took place in 24 hours. June's backstory is so sad, especially having to raise 4 kids that young, and her hope of Mick coming back and actually staying for real. I love that, again, kind of like in Emily Henry, the oldest sibling, Nina, she finally did what she wanted to do because her entire life she was kind of raising her other siblings, and then when they finally got older, she was finally able to do what she wanted to do. One of my favorite tropes. I love that. I'm telling you, I love the trope where the main character, especially when she's a girl, chooses what she wants to do, not because of other people, but what she wants to do. So I love that. It was just so cool how the characters resolved a lot of their trauma within 24 hours. I mean, they didn't exactly solve everything within 24 hours. I'm just saying, like, the build up, the tension that each character held and had was kind of resolved in that 24 hours. They had that trauma from growing up with an absent father, everything that happened to their mom. Yeah, and I just love that found family was one of the main tropes in this book. Found family is definitely, I think it's like genuinely one of my favorite tropes, if not my favorite trope. Like, of all time. I love a found family trope. It like genuinely means so much to me. And so I love that the siblings, they had each other from the start. They kind of got lost along the way and then they found each other again. And I don't know, I really liked Malibu Rising. And then the next book I read, still by Taylor Jenkins Reid, was Daisy Jones and the Six. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. The book is about a band in the 1970s and they're getting interviewed about how they got together and then how they all broke up. So it was written in interview format where each character was kind of like answering questions and just like telling their perspective. It was a little hard for me to get into the book because usually when I'm reading a book, I basically see a movie. I'm definitely a visual learner and a visual person, and so I like usually see a book. It's kind of like I'm watching a movie even though I'm reading words. So it was just hard for me to kind of get into that zone while reading Daisy Jones and the Six. Anyway, I thought the storyline was really cool. I really liked the complex relationships between Daisy and Billy, and it was kind of like a will they won't they situationship, very messy relationship, while also Billy was dealing with the fact that he had a wife and kids. 70s was filled with drinking and drugs. This book was definitely talking about the extreme side effects of drug use and how that really affects a person. We see that within Billy and actually all the band members. Like I knew growing up that the 1970s were filled with drug use, but I don't know, I didn't realize just how common it was for everyone to be on drugs all the time. It's crazy. I like seeing the effect that the characters went through while being on drugs, because obviously it's not good. Don't do drugs, kids. It was perfectly set in the 1970s because the band was a rock band. I think that was like the perfect setting. I just thought because it was an interview format that I kind of got lost between sometimes like who was talking sometimes. So maybe that's just me and I just didn't comprehend it well enough. Yeah, sometimes I got lost. I did like though that you slowly saw the band fall apart. It wasn't some like big catastrophic event that kind of blew them up. It was little events here and there, and then it eventually made it explode and the band broke up. I love a good build-up story. I feel bad for Billy's wife, Camilla. Oh my gosh, the fact that she had to deal with her husband not only being on drugs and also the crazy situationship, and she was still loyal. Like, my girl, like, oh my gosh, she deserved better. That just says something about her character, that she was loyal to a T. She did not leave him. I do love that Billy got clean because of her. Taylor Jenkins Reid, she just knows how to write like complex characters. It was just so interesting to see the relationship, or the not relationship, if you will, of Billy and Daisy. And I thought it was really cool though, because it was interview format, that if someone said something, the next person could completely contradict what that person said. And it was kind of funny that way. It added a little bit of humor. I do want to say though, I watched the show and I absolutely loved the show. That was incredible. Still kind of mad that we were not getting a tour of that. We should get a tour. Loss of my life that we're not getting a tour for Daisy Jones. Because it was kind of interview format, I think it worked really well as a TV show, sometimes more so than the book, but I think they captured the 1970s feel, the slow build up to the breakup, like really well. So I really liked the show, but I think the book is definitely worth it. I think it's definitely worth reading. The next 3 books, absolutely insane. Insane. That's, if I could describe these books in one word, insane. It's the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. If you know, you know. I don't want to spoil this because this is something that is so worth reading. I'm just kind of gonna do like a speed run without giving spoilers because these are books you absolutely have to read. First book, Good Girl's Guide to Murder, 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely 5 out of 5 stars. Holly Jackson, you know how to write, period. End of that. One of my favorite genres is murder mystery, so I was extremely excited to read this. Did not disappoint. Basically in the story, this isn't a spoiler because it's in the synopsis, Pip is trying to solve a murder that happened 5 years ago in her town from one of her classmates, Ravi, how Ravi's brother Sal was allegedly accused of killing Andy Bell. And so we see her go on this investigation and she kind of recruits Ravi. And oh my god, I love their relationship. They're so cute. Oh my god, there's so many twists, so many turns. The ending did not predict. I had a hunch about one character and I was kind of right. What happened, like, I did not predict. Who was involved, how everything was solved, like, did not predict. So I think that's all I can say without spoiling, which is crazy, which is kind of nothing, but absolutely read this one. This was a 5 out of 5 by far. And the second one in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series is called Good Girl, Bad Blood. I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. To me, usually the second book in a series is not as strong as the first or the third, and this kind of proved my point. It wasn't my favorite, but it had to happen in order to explain the events for the next book. Without spoiling anything, Pip, she is kind of dealing with trauma from the last book, and she is called to set on another investigation for one of her friend's brothers. She has to try and solve that. I had a hunch about one character, but also again, I did not predict anything that would happen in this story. I don't know. And then she faced even more trauma at the end. Like, girl, like, my girl Pip, you need a therapist. You need intense therapy. I don't really know what to say without spoiling anything, but it was not my favorite. I would still recommend reading it because it's necessary to understand the plot of the third book. Not my favorite, and that's okay. Like I said, you're not gonna love every book from every author. Oh my god, and then holy fucking shit, the third book, As Good as Dead? Like, what the fuck? Holly Jackson, your mind is insane. I think you should be checked out. Because, like, how do you think of all of these things? This one I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh, it's so hard to explain this without spoilers, so if you want me to do a full in-depth review of this series with spoilers, let me know, and I would so be down to do that. I mean, I guess I could say, like, because you don't know if you haven't read, like, what I'm talking about. I really liked how the heist was written. I like in books when you think you know what's gonna happen, or when a character's like, the plan is set, and then you have to read through the entire plan to understand what's going on, rather than the character telling us what the plan is. Pip did that in this book. Oh my gosh. Heist, insane. Yeah, kind of crazy. I don't know, like, this whole thing was just insane. There's one character, actually there's two, but the main bad guy, never liked him, and I was right, he's a bad guy. The heist was pulled off really well, but I need to know how Holly Jackson researched all that without getting any FBI called on her. Like, what is her search history? And then the ending with Pip and Ravi. I want to talk about it, but I'm not going to. There was a good thing that happened. Some verdict was in that was very good. And then the union and just, ugh. If you take away anything from my reactions, is that you need to read the series. Like, I don't know what else to tell you because I kind of can't without spoiling, especially for a murder mystery series. Definitely read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. Absolutely insane, but so worth it. Hey, and then the final book that I read in 2025 was The Cruel Prince. I started it because my bestie here, she loves The Cruel Prince. Like, The Cruel Prince is like her favorite series of all time. So we kind of had like a little book exchange. We wanted to read each other's books, so I read The Cruel Prince and she started Red Queen. And so final book that I read in 2025 was The Cruel Prince. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Dystopian fantasy, political, with a romance subplot, enemies to lovers book. Damn, that's a mouthful. Kind of has a little bit of everything that I love. This whole universe, the Folk of the Air series, was kind of political based, which again, like I said, I loved. I love learning the background of how the kingdoms work and how the fairy tale creatures coexist with each other and the enemies, and I don't know, I really like that just because it was a political book. Political, dystopian, fantasy, all of the above, honestly. I do want to say the world building at first was kind of confusing. I would say my critique on The Cruel Prince is that the world building, it's there, but it's not really in as much detail as I would like. Meaning, like, there's so many fantasy creatures that they were just described as their name. They kind of weren't described as like what they were or what they looked like. And so I kind of had to make a mental picture of what I thought they looked like, even if they were completely off. So I would just say I would have loved if there was more description on the characters, and I'm pretty sure that's like a pretty common critique that people have given. It was a little hard to get into at first because there was just like so much going on, so many creatures, and not a lot of them were explained. There were so many twists, trails, the coronation scene, that was crazy. Was not expecting that. I was like, my mouth my jaw was dropped the entire time. But the ending with Carden, oh my gosh. Again, like I said before, like I love when you think you know a plan for that a character has, and then when you're reading it, it completely changes. Like I was surprised. Like I thought I knew the plan, and then I was completely surprised by the ending, and so I really liked the ending. I love Jude and Carden. Oh, I know they're mostly like enemies in this book, but like I love them. I like that the main character Jude, because she's human and she was stolen away from her family when she was 7 because her adoptive father killed her parents, because her mom was from Fairy, and then her twin sister and her older sister away from Fairy, and her older sister is from Fairy, but her sister Jude and her twin sister Taryn aren't because they're human. And she just had like so much internal conflict about what it was like, and should she stay in Fairy because the creatures there, they don't like mortals, they don't really like humans. And I really like her internal conflict and her going back and forth on whether she should stay there or go back to the mortal world. She was a complex character. She had her own opinions, she had her wants, her needs, and I really liked that. And I was like, I know Jude and Carden are enemies, but like, and I honestly, I was kind of scared like how Carden would react based off the ending of what happened with him for the next few books. It was kind of scary. I was just kind of excited to read the next one. So that's kind of my review on The Cruel Prince. And whenever I do my 2026 books in review, I guess you'll see my opinions on the other 2 books in the Cruel Prince series. So, yay! Oh my god, that was a lot of yapping. Oh my god, I have such bad vocal fry right now. Stay hydrated for sure. Okay, so I want to actually do quickly a top 5 books that I read for 2025. I mean, I know I just gave my ratings, but I kind of want to rank like my top 5. 5 would be Funny Story, 4 would be Beach Read, 3 would be A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, 2 would be A Great Big Beautiful Life, and number 1, are we surprised? Sunrise on the Reaping. Duh! I mean, you just saw my review, like duh, that's obviously number 1 for the entire year. Oh my god, I'm so scared for the movie. Anyway, thank you for watching. Those are all my ratings and reviews and thoughts and chaos from my books that I read in 2025. Honestly, I want to make more book content. I think I'm a reader first. That was my first love, first hobby. And so let me know what other book content you guys are interested in. I definitely want to do more. I really like this. Also, I love yapping, and I hope you guys love that I yap too, quite a lot. But if you made it this far, comment down below, obviously the book emoji. Like, what else would I make it, honestly? Make sure to smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, smash the notification button, because again, there's gonna be more content. And I'm definitely going to make sure there's more bookish content, both on YouTube, and I'm going to start posting more on my TikTok. That's a goal of mine for the rest of the year. So go follow all the rest of my social medias. They're very easy to remember. It's at Aveyard, which is my name. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!